With regard to the Mahamudra path, we were starting to discuss the 4 yogas of that path. The point of these is they are a description of the steps or phases that take place while traversing the path. There is a similar description which is applied to the sutra description of the path to enlightenment. The sutra description of the path entails descriptions of the 5 paths and the 10 levels. For example, you have the path of accumulation, the path of application, the path of you have the path of accumulation, the path of application, the path of vision, the path of cultivation, and the path beyond cultivation. These 5 paths represent the stages upon which the practitioner develops on his path under the sutra description of such a path. This is also subdivided into the 10 Bodhisattva levels as well. Here we have the 4 yogas. This is exactly the same idea. It is 4 stages on the path. The only way in which one can achieve these stages is by actually experiencing them. The first stage is that of one-pointedness. When one actually has the experience of one-pointedness, then we say that one has reached the level of one-pointedness. When one reaches the stage where one experiences directly the state of non-distractedness, then one is on that level, the second phase, and so on through the 3rd phase of one-valuedness, and the 4th and final stage, the beyond cultivation stage.
아니 봐 주저지가 숨다 제땅도 주저 숨도 맹가가 되네 아 세기게 되는 신내라 되는 세기게 뇽 람랭 타상 타라 네바 당모 네바 네바 상근 타라 되는 홍동의 똑바 양다바 신청이 에이가라 생기모 되는 벤 rum보치게 때리니 봤다 rum보치게 때 토봤다 주바 탐지 동 자와시 통근 생미 정모 주바 탐지 동 자와 사가 노는요 토바 노지 벤이 되는 제기게 타게라지 토고 내내양 라드게 사나 라는 누나 네 양 주르게 제기게 주르게 똑바 통근 거요 대단히 주르게 선고를 take 되는 생모 주바 탐지 좀 가라시 나랑 좀
The first of these four yogas, that of one-pointedness, is covered by samatha meditation, the stages of samatha meditation that we have already discussed in detail. One moves on to the next phase, the phase of non-distractedness, when one has completely covered or traversed the various stages of samatha meditation. We had the three states of peace or calmness. There are three phases within samatha meditation. Once all these three have been traversed, those were described a couple of days ago, then one reaches this stage where, of its own accord, an experience of clear perception or vipassana meditation occurs. This is like a sudden, sorry, I shouldn't use the word sudden, but this is like a new perception, something newly perceived within the practice, like a jewel that is in the ground might suddenly be found and seen. There is now this new perception arises. This is the perception of the nature of mind, the first vision or first insight into this nature of mind. The reason why the word non-distractedness is used is because one is for the first time perceiving the true nature of mind without any of the normal distractions and diversions that prevent that experience taking place. This word, which I translate as non-distractedness, is not an easy one to put in Tibetan. Rinpoche is now giving a description of the meaning of the word, just what you are free from. It is a free from something. Free from distractions is the way I've translated it today. The point is here that the nature of mind, our understanding and perception of the nature of mind, is free from perceptions that perceive it in the wrong way. In other words, perceiving it in the wrong way, misperceptions which misunderstand or misappreciate the true nature of mind. According to Rongchen Dorje, again in his prayer of Mahamudra, there is a verse which states that the mind is not existent, yet the mind is not existent, and so forth. Point here, by saying that the mind is not existent, is stressing the emptiness of mind, the empty nature of mind, which is to say that the mind possesses no defining or limiting characteristics. It has no shape, for example. It is not long, not short, not wide, not thin. It has no such physical dimensions at all. It has no other distinguishing characteristics as far as colour is concerned. It's not red, not blue, not green, no colour whatsoever. Such tangible characteristics simply do not apply at all to mind. So as it has no tangible material characteristics whatsoever, in this way we say that it is beyond being existent. It is a perception such as this that one is free from in this distractedness. So one way of putting that would be to say that such a perception of mind is a distraction from perceiving the true nature of mind. This verse of Rongjung Dorje states that mind being is beyond existence, it is also beyond non-existence, as it is the basis of both samsara and nirvana. We have established that the mind does not have, and cannot be said to be existent in the material sense. We can also not say that it is non-existent, because it is that which gives rise to both the experiences of cyclic existence and nirvana. Cyclic existence arises due to actions that are performed on the basis of the emotional defilements of anger, desire, hatred, and jealousy, and so forth. These defilements arise within the mind, and so mind is itself the cause of, the basis for, the experience of cyclic existence. If these are transmuted into the five awarenesses, one develops positive qualities of love, compassion, devotion, etc., etc., then these qualities and the awarenesses lead to the experience of freedom, liberation from cyclic existence. So mind, although it is not something that is materially existent, is the basis. We cannot say it is non-existent either, because it is the basis for the whole of our experience.
sem tu de ni ji ma ne ge do de ma do ne ba de de tu tu ge to ba de so de yo ma ne ba de ne be ka la yang ne sem tu de hong dong de to ba tian na hong dong de to ba gang be ka so hong dong to ba ti kan ne yo hong dong to ba tang sem ne ba ji ba lo接话我还没发生，接话这看的接话，生接有，弄都弄都长期有人嘛有嘛生的接话，隔壁的搞了有的人呢搞上了有的有嘛的，生可能个么嘛现在，那边的搞了弄都干，搞把啦说吧，没那样，等生就这个等生个么地等呢。ne peke kanda kewa gapa kewa tiki ga chani da sen ne ba tambo kewa kewa no to de ta de ga chani yang zhe zhe ge dong yang ne ba de 监管你的弄都当我接，可能我才就给你发当，让那人个讲的这个主张，我给你看。弄都接才就，弄都接，放高的生活高才就，让那边的干起来，那就那种用的主张听的了，那你，你几百，对，我欣赏的。
When thoughts arise within the mind, when we are within this state of non-distractedness, one perceives directly exactly where these thoughts originate from and what their causes are and how they come to cease. When a thought arises, it is understood and perceived clearly that this arises from mind. There is no other reason for it to exist. There is no external cause. There is nothing other than mind that gives rise to it. The thought, the idea arises, then it comes to an end. There is nothing which stops it. There is nothing which causes it to come to an end other than the fact that it subsides back to whence it came. It arises from mind and subsides back into mind. These thoughts arise and fall back into the nature of mind. When one perceives this, the mind, being in its stable state when thoughts are not arising, is perceived as being the same in essence as being mind when thoughts are rising. When in the state of non-distractedness, one sees that nature of mind in both these situations, when thoughts are arising and decaying, and when the mind is stable and at peace. The Buddha's teachings regarding this state of non-distractedness, the nature of mind that is perceived in this state, do not state exactly just what is the nature of mind in this case, just what is this nature of mind. The teachings state that it is beyond the two extremes or beyond the four extremes and so on. These teachings state what are not the qualities or characteristics that the nature of mind has, the Buddha said that it cannot actually be stated just what is this nature. It cannot be described. It is beyond normal analysis and description. It can only be appreciated by a direct experience. So, if we achieve this perception, which is described by the word non-distractedness, and cultivate and contemplate that thoroughly in meditation practice, then we come to the third phase, the phase of one-valuedness. This word, which I translate as one-valuedness, is often translated as one taste. It should not be understood as being anything like one taste. That is not the correct approach to this word at all. What is meant by this word here is a state when the external world and the mind are perceived as one. The point being we go beyond the fears and hopes, we go beyond distinctions, we go beyond the normal dualities, normal distinctions where we split things into pairs. It's when one combines or one has fused what the experience of one's own mind with the experience of the external world, then we talk in terms of this state where there is just one value. There are no longer any distinctions drawn between different aspects of our experience. What is meant by this expression, combining or fusing one's mind together with the external world? The point here is a state that is reached once one has truly mastered the previous phase. If one practices the non-distractedness, as mentioned before, and achieves true stability within that practice, then there comes a point where one perceives the world in a different way. The way in which the world is perceived completely changes. We talk in terms of the world being perceived as being like a dream. The point of this is that the conventional reality, the world that we normally perceive, we come to see it as being insubstantial and lacking external real existence. Up until we reach this point, we cling to the external physical world as being something real, something which is concrete and existent externally to ourselves. And there is no way that we can understand it as being anything else until we have achieved this point within meditation practice. Up until we reach this point of one-valuedness, we continually see the world in this way, as being physically, externally real, as being really existent. However, once this point is reached, this clinging to this view of the world is shattered, and one perceives the world in this new way, where it is seen as being unreal externally. It is just a manifestation of the mind, just as it is a dream. And it is this experience that is meant by this phrase to combine or fuse one's mind together with external reality. Once one has achieved this state where one perceives genuinely that this external physical world is not really existent as an external physical world, then certain abilities arise. As one no longer sees it in a fixed way, then the miracles and phenomena that we associate with all the great siddhas become apparent. For example, there is the story when Guru Rinpoche was burnt by a king in India, and how he, out of the fire, appeared on a lotus flower in the middle of a lake. He was survived, in other words, he survived the flames. And there are stories of Kamapakshi, who, while in India, had been given a golden roof to a temple which he wanted to take back to Tibet, but ran into some trouble with the law and had to throw the roof of this temple into a local river and pulled it out of a lake near his home. And there are stories of Milarepa, who, in order to effect some change in his student Rechumpa, flew in the sky in front of him several times. There have been many such stories from many great siddhas. There have been many siddhas in Tibet who have exhibited such miracles, or such actions, one should perhaps say. These actions stem from no other power or source whatsoever, other than this realized direct and proper realization that the external physical world is not something that exists externally and in reality. This stage then of one-valuedness, where one perceives the world in this way and directly understands that it is not externally really existent, is not yet the final stage. Although, if, let's, for example, certain emotional defilements do arise from time to time still within the mind. Not very often, not very many, but they do arise. The difference here with an ordinary being is that one does not actually act on the basis of these defilements. Once one has reached this stage, there are no actions performed that flow from these emotional defilements, but there is still some distraction, some wavering of the nature of the mind due to these occasional arising of defilements. We now come to the fourth phase, the fourth of these yogas, that beyond cultivation. Once one has truly perfected and practiced the state of one-valuedness and achieved complete stability within that state, this is the next stage that arises. The reason this is called beyond cultivation is as follows. It's often translated as beyond meditation too, by the way. The reason it is called beyond cultivation is because that which we use to cultivate qualities within the mind has been our awareness. The word yesterday was mindfulness. And that with which we have had as the focus of our mindfulness is the nature of mind itself. The mind, we have been using our mindfulness to be aware of the nature of mind. Once these two are perceived as being indistinguishable, once there is no distinction between the mind and one's awareness of it, then there is no more any act of cultivation of such qualities or of such mindfulness that could possibly occur. That is why it is called the stage beyond cultivation. In this state, beyond cultivation, anything that arises in the mind, any thought or idea whatsoever that arises in the mind is perceived as directly being a manifestation of Dharmakaya nature of mind. In other words, that true nature of mind, Dharmakaya, is continually perceived as being the nature of whatever the content of mind happens to be at any time. In this state, there is a parallel given of a man who goes to a land where there are mountains, lakes, rivers, everything is made out of gold. All the stones, the earth and the mountains, the cliffs, all these things are made out of gold. And that if he should want, let's say, an ordinary stone, he'd be totally unable to find one. There is no ordinary stone here. Every single thought that arises in the mind is understood and perceived clearly for what it is, a manifestation of Dharmakaya. All our experiences become of the same, aspects of the same experience. At night one absorbs in oneself in the radiant nature of mind. During the day one absorbs oneself, is absorbed completely in Mahamudra contemplation. And then the next night one is in the radiant nature of mind again. There is a continuum through the whole of one's experience, a continuity through the whole of one's experience. If a person achieves this state beyond cultivation, then many things can occur. First of all, this state entails the purification of all the seeds, the winds and the channels. When this occurs, when they are completely purified, then the individual will experience many visions of deities. Similarly, for other people, the experience of this person, for his students, will be that they will experience from time to time from him something, a very special and quite extraordinary depth of inspirational feeling or blessing from him. These four phases can be combined with, or compared, perhaps is the best word, compared with the paths on the sutra definition of the path of Buddhism. For example, however, there are many small differences of opinion as to exactly how this is done, but we will take, for example, that of the Ngedon Gyaltsen text. Now, here, the description of one-pointedness describes three levels of one-pointedness, a lower, a medium, and a greater level of one-pointedness, and these three are compared with or coincide with the path of accumulation and the path of application. Next we come to the second phase, which is that of non-distractedness. Here again there are three levels as before, a lesser, an average and a greater level. And these are compared with the first of the 7 bodhisattva levels on the path of vision. These are called the impure bodhisattva levels because there are still emotional defilements that occur from time to time. There are still defilements and obscurations existing in the mind. That is why they're called impure. And the person who is having this experience is called the the ordinary, this sounds a bit odd coming out in English like this, but the ordinary bodhisattva, a minor bodhisattva, one who still has some defilements and some obscurations, but who is generally on the bodhisattva path. We come to one valuedness, the third of these phases, the third of the four yogas. This again has its own three levels, and it is equated with the three pure bodhisattva levels, the 8th, the 9th, and the 10th. Then we have the final phase, which is beyond cultivation stage. This again has its own three levels and is equated with the 11th bodhisattva level, that of complete enlightenment, the level of the Buddha. This description of the path of Mahamudra, with these four yogas and the various stages through which one passes, is the practice of Mahamudra. This whole path, this whole structure of instructions and stages of experiences and so on may sound very imposing, because there are many stages on which one has to pass, and one can feel that unless one practices for an extraordinary length of time, that there is no hope of traversing this whole path. But it should be understood that a considerable benefit can be achieved even from the very beginning part of this path. The Buddha described the benefits that come from a certain point within the path of application, the path of application. Now, remember that the first of these four yogas, Onepointedness, entail both the path of accumulation and the path of application. This was samatha meditation, this section, this phase. And the Buddha described four minor or subdivisions in the path of application, the names of which, I'm sorry, completely escape me in English. I've never really looked at these, and so I can't give translations for them. The second one of these, anyway, when one reaches this point, the Buddha stated that one reaches a stage where one's Dharma practice has gained sufficient strength and ability that one no longer will have to experience the lower states such as the Preta realms, the hell realms and so on, but one has developed sufficient qualities within the practice to always experience the types of births and situations which enhance and encourage one's Dharma practice, so that it becomes a smoother path. And this is all contained within this first of these four yogas, One-Pointedness, which itself is the practice and the realizations and experiences that come from samatha meditation. So the benefits of just doing this one aspect of the practice, samatha meditation, can be very vast indeed. However, if the benefits of samatha meditation are as vast as this, then the benefits of vipassana meditation are of course much greater. If one achieves the true state of vipassana meditation, then the qualities that arise are the qualities that come with the direct realization of that true nature of mind. With this realization comes the dissolution of all sufferings and the causes of these sufferings, the emotional defilements. One sees right through these to the true nature of mind, and they are thereby dissolved. These qualities that come from this clear insight of vipassana meditation are even greater than those developed from samatha. We all practice the Vajrayana path. One on the Vajrayana path takes initiations from a Lama, goes to him to seek instruction. We practice meditations entailing contemplating ourselves in the form of deities, recitation of mantras, practices of yidams, Vajrayogini and so forth. All of this is the Vajrayana path. The essence of all of this is contained, however, within the practice that we've just described. I'm sorry, I got the last sentence backwards. The point and the essence of all of this Vajrayana practice is the cultivation directly of that perception of the nature of mind. How do we practice this method for perceiving the nature of mind? As was said before, if things arise in the mind, emotional defilements and so on, they're not treated as something to be grasped or something to be suppressed. One observes them, one observes the nature of these things as and when they arise in the mind, and contemplate that, cultivate this type of awareness or perception.
Then Tewan Male talk till a master large in the doni, then in Hinkala till a come take the day in that tiger got then ye, as I today, so the young king shaggy. Then Tata Naran sending what there's at the young teacher, or Bahona, or Gamjana, tiger got ye, as I move signing, tiger mula, the million gone. Then 사람 탐지 디 바르디 내가 사람 탐지 존에 내가 깨지게 손지 사람도 예 깨지게 조손지 깨지게 세도시 그래서 뭐 그냥 된다 와서
The sufferings that we experience in the world, the greatest of these is the suffering of death. At this time, at the moment of death, we describe the process in the following way. The white seed, the white seed which was attained from the father at the top of the head starts to descend downwards. The red seed obtained from the mother, the female aspect at the bottom of the centre of the body, starts to ascend. The two meet and combine in the heart centre. At this moment, there is a momentary insight into the basic radiant nature of mind. Briefly, this radiant nature of mind is directly perceived. Now, if one has, through one's lifetime, practiced if one has practiced development of cultivation, one has practiced and developed and cultivated an insight into the nature of mind through means of these various practices that we've been describing, by observing the nature of mind, then it is possible at that time of death to come to recognize this radiant nature of mind. It will appear, it will be perceived, and if one is able to recognize it, then one can immediately traverse all the 5 levels, the 5 paths, the 10 Bodhisattva levels, and so on. This experience could be an experience of the direct realization of Dharmakaya, and the whole process of the realization of enlightenment can occur at once. This is often called instantaneous enlightenment, or the transference of consciousness to the Dharmakaya. One does not experience the intermediate state. Once this has occurred, one has achieved that direct realization of Dharmakaya. Rinpoche is now going to give an initiation and a couple of lungs, so there will not be any time for questions today, unfortunately.